Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me again here on my channel. We had an amazing weekend. Conference championship weekend just took place. Well, really the past 2 weekends, but we had some major performances, a total of 15 new number one marks. In this video, we're going to recap those number one marks. We're also going to look at some of the more impressive performances from this weekend because we had two huge distance doubles that I think will lead into potential national champions. But without further ado, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Still trying to grow the channel. And we'll go ahead and get started right away. Our four-leg format, as always, will be the first leg with sprints and hurdles, but the second leg today will be jumps. The third leg will be throws, and the anchor leg will be the distance events. And so, getting started right away, looking at the sprints and hurdles, we will talk about the women's 200, and that's Jamija Ford. Yes, she has the number one mark nationally now in the 200 in a time of 22:01, representing South Carolina. But it's important to note her performance this weekend was just simply incredible. It's at the SEC Championships, no less. The toughest conference in college. And that's not to disrespect any of the other great conference championships and conferences that we saw, but the SEC has been proven to be the toughest year in and year out. She walked away with four events from this weekend, winning the 100, the 200, anchoring the winning 4x1, and running the third leg on the winning 4x4. And yes, they defeated Georgia and Arkansas. That is a great sign heading into the postseason for South Carolina. It's been a while since we've had a coach, Curtis Fry led South Carolina team win a national title way back in 2002, but they had been competitive for quite a while under his coaching. And then, of course, a few years ago, he stepped down, retired, and taking over the new coaching staff has kind of reignited that South Carolina sprinting tradition. And here we are with Jamija Ford possibly leading the way. They are a top five team in my book. Do they have the depth of a Georgia or Arkansas? No, but they have great leadership and they have an incredible top tier performer in Jamija Ford. She didn't win the 200 at Nationals last year. She came pretty close. And I think this outdoor season, she's been the most consistent. After that disappointing runner up finish indoors, here she is running 22:01. That's top five all time in the history of collegiate track and field on the women's side in the 200. 22:01. Again, this is a name that I think we're going to have to just get familiar with because she's going to be mentioned at some point in her career as either an Olympian or just an Olympic medalist, possibly even an Olympic gold medalist. What a talent. Our next number one performance comes from Habiba Harris of Florida. It seems that Florida is having all the luck when it comes to the 100 hurdles. They had Grace Stark for all those years. And Habiba is the next great hurdler. It's very clear. She is now the national leader in the 100 hurdles, 12.62. She's a talented hurdler by way of Jamaica, and it's very clear she's the next big gun. 12.62, win legal, not win dated this time, and a clear step ahead of the rest of the field. She looked very strong, and not just the prelims where she ran the number one leading time. She came back and ran a 12.75 in the final very comfortably. Her technique is solid. Kind of reminds me of Grace Stark, great 1-2-3 form and getting over the hurdle, getting next to it. Florida went from Grace Stark, as I said, to Habiba Harris, just getting all the luck. And on the women's side in that event, because this has been a real rough year for the men, but hats off to the women finishing third in conference. And she was a big, huge team points, 10 points for that, and also ran on their relay, which ran one of the fastest times that they have ran in quite a while. Hats off to this young freshman, and I look forward to seeing more from her. It is fair for us to say she is the favorite going into championship postseason. It's hard to put that kind of pressure on a freshman, but when you're putting up the marks that she is, not only do I think she has a shot at winning the national title, she may potentially make Team Jamaica, and that's no easy feat. They have a great group of hurdlers, but she is really up there. And again, she is just a freshman. And now moving to the men's side of sprints, it seems that it's the 200 this weekend. We'll see Makanakashi Chiramba of Auburn running the 200 in the prelims in a time of 1992. I emphasize the prelims because unfortunately in the finals, he just seemed to not really have it. He did finish, I believe, runner up, but it was Jordan Anthony of Arkansas, the young football player who's coming on. I got a feeling we're going to be mentioning him as number one at some point. He has the fastest win legal 100 time in 995. He came back to run 1993 in the 200. And that's with celebrating before he crossed the line. So I think we know who our two top guns in this event. We're still waiting on what's going to happen with Carly Makawaru of Kentucky, but Makanakashi Chiramba of Auburn versus Jordan Anthony of Arkansas in the 200 is the way to go. 1992 is no slouch time. He did run in 1986, but that was wind aided. His 1992 time is wind legal. So that's the time that will be listed on the international rankings. And he's doing a great job of representing his country. And I think, I'm looking for Auburn guys to kind of step up at the major meets because they do well during the regular season. It just seems that the major meets there's a faultiness. And we saw that indoors where there was a disqualification in the 60 meters due to a false start. But it's time for us to see Auburn show up in a big way at a major meet as a collective. And, they did okay, I think, this weekend in the SEC championships, but they should use this as a big learning block heading into the championship postseason. And then in the 400 on the men's side, you have a super freshman in Makahi Danzi of Florida State. Yes, of Florida State, not Florida, and a football player, receiver no less. 44.38, so he's got the long speed, so good luck catching him when he gets to the league. All he's going to need is to be up under a great quarterback, and he's off to the running. 44.38, uh, surpassing Ahmad Robinson of Texas A&M, who did not have a great weekend. But hats off to this young freshman. The freshman at the SEC meet did not seem to be fazed by the fact that they were in the SEC or the ACC. You had great freshmen on the men and women's side in the SEC, and then at the ACC, the same thing. And when you think of the 400 in the ACC, you're thinking of Virginia Tech. You're not necessarily thinking of Florida State. It had been a while. This is a new school record for this young man. Really great performance by the freshman, 44.38. I think we're open to seeing what happens. Again, this event has now, been blown wide open because Ahmad Robinson hasn't ran a time like that. But, remains to be seen what's going to happen later in this postseason. Genoa McIver is still struggling to come back from Florida from that back injury. Didn't even make the final. Justin Braun of Florida didn't compete, obviously, after being injured at the LSU Invitational a couple weeks. And so, Garrett Colloon didn't compete this weekend for USC. So who is it going to be? And it might be him, the freshman receiver from Florida State. And now, also, probably one of the most impressive performances this weekend was Nathaniel Ezekiel of Baylor. And I think it's important to highlight him for one simple reason. He is the best 400 hurdler to ever come out of Nigeria. And he keeps consistently breaking his own national record in this event that has gotten so competitive. You don't just have one, revolutionary hurdler. You have three. You got Dos Santos, you've got Rai Benjamin, and Carson Vorholm. Three phenomenal 400 hurdlers. And that, doesn't really leave the room for a lot of competition from anyone else. But you have guys who are on the outside looking in trying to join that. And I think it was actually really, really smart for Nathaniel Ezekiel to stay in school instead of turning pro, to just naturally develop while getting his education. You got the NIL deal, so there's no really rush to turn pro. And he runs a 47.89. That's one of the fastest times in NCAA history. And he ran that race winning by over a second. I mean, the closest person to him ran 49 seconds flat. He runs 47.89, which tells me he's got either a mid or a low 47 in those legs. And after running that 44.1 anchor, I'm almost positive he does have a mid 47 or a low 47 in those legs. And I look forward to seeing what he does when he goes up against the competition on a national scale just outside the Big 12. I don't think the Big 12 is as competitive as it used to be in this event since Texas has moved on and Oklahoma has moved on. It really just seems to me that it's just either Baylor or Texas Tech in this event. And this year it was clearly all Baylor. Now, that's not to say that the rest of the conference is a slouch. That's not it at all. It's just the competition in the SEC meet was so insane in this event, particularly. This event at the Big 12 to me took a step back and it was only highlighted by Nathaniel Ezekiel's incredible performance. And our last big sprint performance that we'll talk about is in the 4x1, and that's Tennessee's men's 4x1. Not Auburn's, but Tennessee, who had a pretty impressive weekend. So hats off to Coach Dwayne Ross. 38-20 in the 4x1. Yikes, that is fast. And this event, to me in particular, has been very lackluster this outdoor season. Because you're looking at some programs with some insane depth in the 100, and it just seems like there's a lot of questionable exchanges. I think the only school that seems to have maximized the talent that they've had, to me, has been South Florida. From their early season domination at the Florida Relays, it just seems like they're, to me, in the best position heading into the postseason because their exchanges look pretty flawless. And there's a video of them running on my channel. So, and I've seen them in person multiple times. But that time from Tennessee made me go, oh, finally someone's getting there. I'm still waiting to see what Auburn does. And I do think USC should be much faster than what they've been. And same for LSU. I mean, they have an insane amount of depth for the times that they're putting up. They're hanging around teams that they are noticeably superior than. Tennessee is not the case. I'm still waiting to see who could be the team that goes under 38 seconds again. So far, it's just been Florida and LSU historically. But I think Auburn has a really legit shot. If all guys are healthy, they're dipping under 38. And I think Tennessee will give a run for it too. And now moving to the jumps, and what an incredible weekend that the jumpers had on the women's side. We'll get started right away with Timmy Tope Adeshina of Texas Tech. It's fun mentioning this young lady's name because she burst onto the scene last year as a freshman. And there are times where we thought, oh, this is a little too big for her because she is a freshman. And there are times where we're like, oh man, she doesn't seem to be phased at all. I feel like things are slowly but surely coming together for her. She had a phenomenal weekend at winning the Big 12 championship. 6 feet 5.5, 1.97 meters. And that's, important to note because Rachel Glenn of Arkansas didn't have a great weekend, and neither did Alina Kulichenko of Georgia because neither of them won the SEC. But Timmy Tope Adeshina did live up to the hype, and she's now the number one performer. She surpasses Rose Yaboya of Illinois. 6 feet 5.5 is an impressive mark because you can use that mark to win a national title. It is going to take a 6'5" or 6'6", I believe, on the women's side to win a high jump. The fact that she's already gotten it this season and she has a personal best that's better, she's in great shape heading into the postseason. And then you have Amanda Mole, who we can't seem to go a podcast or a video without mentioning. Amanda Mole of Washington in the pole vault. New collegiate record for outdoors, 15 feet 8 1/4 inches or 4.78 meters. We know that she's jumped 16 feet indoors, and I'm waiting to see her 16-foot outdoor performance because I think she's again going to break the national record. But her and her sister just seem to be a clear step ahead of the rest of the competition. I still respect Chloe Timberg of Rutgers, and I do expect for her to be there. And when, it comes down to who are the final three, it'll be the Mole sisters and her. But I think Amanda Mole is a full step ahead of the rest of the field. I mean, she sat in her sister's shadow, Hannah, last year, and this year she's taken off like gangbusters. And then we have the long jump. We have Alexis Brown of Baylor. Again, another transfer athlete. She transferred from Florida, and things have gone very well for her at Baylor. She's a part of that fantastic 4x1 that they have, that's second in the country. And yes, we're talking about Baylor, not Texas, not Texas A&M, not Houston, not Texas Tech. Baylor, those Bears from Texas. She long jumped 23 feet and 3 1/4 inches, 7.03 meters. Yes, over 7 meters. She is the only 23-foot jumper right now in college, and I think we're now looking at someone who is going to have great professional prospects. Anytime you can surpass 23 feet, you're in a very different realm. You're now someone who is going to be very competitive on the world stage. 23 feet to me is the magical number. That's when we know that you have the potential to medal. And hats off to her because the transfer has worked so well for her. Every year she's gotten better. Every season she seems to getting better. When I say season, I mean going from indoor to out. She's consistently improved. It's going to be between her and Thea Charlton of Florida, who won the SEC championship in horrible weather, might I add. But Alexis Brown, I think, is the clear odds-on favorite. She's not let up since this indoor season, and I don't think she will. In the triple jump, we had Agar Duel of Oklahoma jump 46 feet even. And then you had Winnie B of Texas A&M jump 45, 11 3/4 inches, 14.01 meters. Hers was win legal. Agar Duel's was not. No picture here as of yet, but I think it's important to mention that she won indoors and she's already looking to be in good shape outdoors. I think this is a interesting event in the triple jump because we're not seeing the marks that we had seen. I think we kind of got spoiled with Jasmine Moore, and prior to her, we had Katura Urgi. Uh, but I think we'll have some decent performances come this postseason. On the men's side, we have two great jumps. We'll start off with Ryan Rankin of Georgia. Yes, Georgia really stepping their game up when it comes to developing their field athletes. They, I don't know, I think they're probably the most complete field team in the SEC. Is that fair to say? Because they got great jumpers and throwers. But Ryan Rankin jumped 7 feet 6 inches in the high jump, 2.29 meters. And that made me go, whoa, 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 whoa. We have got to start including this man in postseason talks because that is an impressive mark. 7 feet 6. And then again, he's at Georgia, a school that knows how to produce great high jumpers. I mean, they have Elena Kulichenko. So is he now the male top high jumper? And I think that this SEC title answers that, and it's an absolute yes. 7 feet 6, 2.29 meters. He's clearly the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to the men high jump. I'm gonna be a fan of Tyus Wilson of Nebraska until someone dethrones him. So I'm gonna put that out there. But I think Ryan Rankin may be the guy that can do it. So it remains to be seen. Look forward to seeing what else this young man does later in the season. And we'll move now to the pole vault on the men's side. You have Alexander Solovev of Texas A&M. And I know Pat Henry has just got to be thrilled with him taking over the lead in this event that is still kind of wide open. 18 feet, 9 1/4 inches, or 5.72 meters. It is him. It is not Seaman Goodersman of Duke. It is really Alexander Tolovev of Texas A&M. He's grown even closer to 19 feet. Will we get a 19-foot jumper? I don't know. I don't think that's actually necessary to win this outdoor season. But his name has been mentioned here on this channel quite a bit, so I'm waiting to see if he can finally push himself over into the champions territory. It remains to be seen, but he's had an outstanding outdoor season after a pretty strong indoor season. He is an All American, so he is capable. And now moving to our third leg, we'll look at the throws. And on the women's side, we'll go right to the hammer. You have Emily Fink of Army West Point. Yes, the cadet. She has thrown 233 feet 4 inches, 71.12 meters as a hammer thrower for Army West Point this past weekend. What a great performance by her. We've not mentioned her not one time on this channel. So, welcome to the cadet who is serving our country. And This gives us great pleasure seeing someone using a strength event and doing well at it. So we are well protected, courtesy of Emily Fink of the West Point Academy. On the men's side in throws, we have Duvo Dazo of Miami. Yes, I know, a Miami thrower. I'm still in shock. Like, wait, we're talking about a Miami guy? Shouldn't he be on the track? Shouldn't he be jumping? No, he's out throwing the javelin and killing it. 270 feet, 2 inches, or 82.35 meters for this young talent, and dominating the ACC, which has some great throwing programs. You know, you got Virginia Tech there, you have Stanford, you have Cal. Yes, Stanford and Cal are in the ACC, don't forget. I know they're on the Pacific Coast, but they're in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Go figure. But Duval Dezo of Miami leading the way nationally. We have our first 270-foot thrower in the javelin. This event is somewhat open, but we'll see because we're going to have some more names come regional and national championship preview time. And that is the throw. So just like that, we are wiping our hands with the third leg and we're moving to the anchor. And I want to talk about the only number one time in the distance side that took place this weekend, and that was Christian Jackson of Virginia Tech. Finally, we're talking about a Virginia Tech athlete in the 800 on the men's side. It's been a while, been a very long while. It was, I believe, Nicholas Plant last year, but this year it is Christian Jackson. 144.83. We finally got a guy under sub 145. 144.83. He's the only 144 guy in the nation. That is a big mark. And ACC is, I really want to say it, but the Big Ten held up and the SEC held up. ACC often feels like, to me, the toughest competition for middle distance runners, specifically the 800, because over the past couple of years they've had a top three guy or a top three girl, excuse me, woman, every single time, every single season. And this season is no different. And he ran up against an incredible field. I'm not going to give them that title. I'm just going to recognize the performance that he had. 144.83. And we'll leave it there. We're going to say his name is in the hat for a competitor. I still think he has a ways because I don't know if he has ran against Tanada Matsatsa as of late, but we know that what he's capable of. You have videos of him on my channel. He did a great job at the pin relays, anchoring that. I believe it was no, it was the sprint medley with that surprise anchor. And this is events that did not produce a number one time, but I think we need to note come from the SEC and the ACC. From the SEC, it was Doris Lemingall. I just don't think we can ever have a podcast or video and not mention her. She just continues to show up. She won the 3,000-meter steeplechase and the 5K for Alabama, a huge 20 points for their team. And she might win those events come national championship time. Both of those events she's been consistently high performing at, and I don't think her competition has been able to be at her level yet. Also, it's Megan Hunter of BYU in the 800. She ran 158.99 to win the Big 12 championships. And at BYU, of any program that's new to the Big 12, is having no problem acclimate. Excuse me, it just seems to just simply be dominating. Specifically in their distance events, I mean, come on. On 158, it's going to be between her and Miss Rose of LSU. We're still waiting to see what becomes of Juliet Whitaker, if she's even going to be competing, because as of right now, it's just been Royce and Willis. On the men's side, you have Parker Wolf of North Carolina, who won the 5K and 10K. Again, I've seen him in person. He is remarkably talented. And yes, he has his teammate Ethan Strand, but Parker Wolf is a fully complete distance runner. Can run from the 800 all the way up to the 10K. He won the 5K and the 10K at the ACC championships, and he won both pretty comfortably as expected. So I look forward to seeing what he does this coming postseason. He's already put his name in the hat for a national title. And that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps everything up in a nice, pretty bow. We've had an amazing conference championship weekend. We had some great performances. Still waiting to see what happens. The men's hurdles in the SEC and the high hurdles was incredibly fascinating. You had the young Smallwood of Texas pull it out against, Jaqueline Scott of Texas A&M, beating Damaris Waters of Florida, Jaheim Stern of LSU, Matthew Sophia of LSU. I mean, just my goodness, some great hurling action. And will we see a sub 13 guy? I don't know. But man, do we got a tough field. It's going to take 13-2 just to get to the final, I think. Woo! Great field of hurdlers. I mean, just what a great weekend we had. It just felt like we had a full Thanksgiving feast for all the great college action. But we'll leave things here. So please like, share, subscribe, comment. Your feedback is very much needed. And I look forward to talking with you again where we are previewing regionals and what to expect. Remember, it has to be a certain number of qualification parameters put in place for specific events. I believe there's only 24 spots available to qualify for regionals in the relays and 48 for the individual events. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen. But we'll talk about it here in our next video. So again, thank you so much for listening to me, and I look forward to speaking with you guys again soon.